All right, me again. Here's part two. So part two involves a trio of acrobats turned criminals called the Kitten Sisters, who are flying around here. They kidnap Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy escapes, of course. It's another convoluted story where it goes on all sorts of zigs and zags. But eventually, maybe after several pages, eventually they end up meeting a character called Spike Dyke, who has a previous history with Dick Tracy. So according to the Dick Tracy fandom wiki page, he appeared in a previous adventure with Dick Tracy, which I think was reprinted in volume 11 of these reprint series, the complete Chester Gould's Dick Tracy. And I didn't read volume 11 because my library didn't have it. But this was a character who was based on Spike Jones, who was somebody I had to look up on Wikipedia because I didn't know who that was. But Spike Jones was a popular band leader at the time. And Spike Dyke was based on him. So here he's coming back into the Dick Tracy story because he's an entertainment leader. The Kitten Sisters, who were acrobats, end up joining up with his gang. But when he finds Dick Tracy's wristwatch with them, he knows they're up to trouble. So he tries to get a hold of Dick Tracy, and eventually the Kitten Sisters find out what's going on, and they kidnap him, which leads to a chase, etc. According to the afterword to this book, the real Spike Jones, after this story had run in the newspapers, did an act with three women acrobats who were supposed to be the Kitten Sisters doing their last act before jail. So I guess Spike Jones appreciated the nod and was able to work with this publicity. And then after that storyline, we have More and Plenty, who turns out to be the long-lost dad of B.O. Plenty. And he has an idea for a new type of heeled shoe. Now, as Max Allan Collins points out in his introduction, this story is one of the weakest, but he said that Chester Gould felt that he had to do a comic relief storyline every so often, I guess just to lighten the tension. So the B.O. Plenty family was one of the sources of comic relief. More and Plenty, despite being 88 years old, has what Max Allan Collins calls a child bride, which is, I guess, a little bit disturbing. Although her age is never stated. I mean, she's barefoot throughout, and she's subservient to him. She just goes along with whatever he says. But I had been imagining her as being kind of middle-aged, or maybe 30s, if not middle-aged. I wasn't thinking that she was a child bride, but her age is never stated. I mean, maybe Max Allan Collins was right, or maybe there was a clue to her age I missed. I don't know. Let me know if I missed something. So he's getting work on the patent, and for the longest time he doesn't meet his son B.O. Plenty, who he hasn't seen for some 62 years. I guess they got separated when B.O. was 5 years old. which means B.O. Plenty is 67 and has a young daughter, Sparkle Plenty. So, you know, that's I thought I started my family late, but this beats me. B.O. Plenty is very old man to have such a young family, but there you go. Of course, it's not real, it's just the comics. And then Max Allan Collins makes the point that he thinks at some point Chester Gould realized the story wasn't working, and so then decided to just make it serious again. And it gets serious with a vengeance, where the wife of More and Plenty, I forget her name, is killed during the fight with the bad guys when they speed off and the machine lands on her. Although it's a bit odd because it's not really established why she's on the ground here. And I mean, I didn't miss anything, right? She's just all of a sudden on the ground. How did she get on the ground? And then she gets, killed when this falls on her. She's in the hospital initially, but then she dies. Blossom was her name. So then things go back to being dark again, with more characters getting killed. And then there's a great scene here where the killers themselves get killed, shot in the face with a shotgun, but we don't actually see who is holding it. So then that leads to a lot of speculation over to who the murder was. We think it's More and Plenty. And then More and Plenty, meanwhile, has given up on finding his wife's killers and goes to find his wife's identical twin. It's an identical twin storyline. And the identical twin is, I guess we're going for the sex appeal here, because we see her bathing naked, and then we see her sunbathing naked here. Okay. I guess you have to get readers' attention somehow. So she actually shoots Dick Tracy by accident, as it turns out. She was intending to fire a warning shot. So this is what a panel to end on here, huh? Although it turns out that despite all appearances, Dick Tracy is still alive because the bullet was really old, which I guess means it's less powerful. I guess because the gunpowder inside the bullets might degrade over time. I don't know anything about how guns work. That's the explanation we're given here. So it's lodged between his skin and his skull, but it's just a light grazing. So he comes back and initially arrests her, although later he decides not to press charges. And then once that storyline is wrapping up, we've got one more storyline here, which involves, where is it? There's a frozen body in a freezer. We find out later this is the wife who's killed her husband and has frozen him and just goes down occasionally to taunt the frozen body. According to the afterwards in the back, these images of the body just being frozen here in the freezer with the wife taunting it got Chester Gould a fair amount of flack, negative publicity, and upset the syndicate a little bit, who was worried that it was going to upset the readers. So yeah, it's an interesting little historical detail that you get from the afterwards in these editions. Although, I mean, looking at it, I mean, of all the graphic stuff we've seen in Dick Tracy so far, I mean, in the previous volumes I've reviewed on this channel, as well as some of the stuff right in this very volume, you know, the character getting his arm eaten off by the sharks, etc. I'm not sure why the frozen body in the freezer seemed to be the one thing that tipped people over, but apparently that was. So, yeah, and then there's this last story here about which I don't really have much intelligent things to say, so I'll just kind of quickly flip through it to the end here. This story actually ends at the end. Normally these volumes just kind of come to an end right in the middle of the story. Like, all right, that's it, we're out of paper. We're just going to end right in the middle of the story. But in this volume, they actually finish the storyline. So, next is volume 18. I have to see if my library has this, but if they have it, I will check it out, and then I'll come back with my review of that. Thank you, BookTube.